Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners for January 16th. Have a roll call.
Sandy Slavin.
Donna Bronk.
Peter Dunlop.
And Jim Gibberti. Okay, we have minutes from the meeting of December 19th.
I read them.
There is one error in there for correction under new business. The town charter section, it should have been section 3-7, not 6-7.
And, Mr. Chair, before we vote, may I ask a question on the minutes?
Yes,
There is a section that we waived the 18,000 connection fee for 11 Elizabeth Street, but nowhere in any of the notes from the prior meeting did I see a reason why we would waive the fee. It's not in the minutes, and it was not in the packet that you dealt with on the December 19th. So I'm just curious as to why we waived the fee.
that was because of the connection. It was a guy, exactly, it was the length of the connection they had and the cost involved in doing it.
That is correct. The cost was like, I forget, top of my head, let me see if I have it, it was like
Like, is it a-
$38,000 or something along that line.
Is there any possibility we can put the reason for the waiver in the minutes in case someone comes back and say, why did 11 Elizabeth get a waiver and I can't?
That can be
Just
added.
asking the question, it wasn't clear as to
That
why.
can be added. It was in the discussion that we had, and we decided at that point, it didn't get into the minutes. Probably should have. That's all. It was, yeah.
So
So we just need a correction on that, in addition to that.
may I have the words that I will add to this formal, the reason why it was waived was for the length of connection?
Well, you can also put, it was because it was a grinder pump system they're putting in, and there is a provision in our policy that states if you put a grinder pump system in, and they're putting two grinders because it's a duplex actually going in, there's a provision in our bylaw that states if you do that, then you do not pay the sewer development fee. It's a policy that's already here.
Yep.
So we were probably remiss, so I would just say per policy, because it's a policy.
Okay, per policy,
But per grinder pump policy.
We should probably specify what policy that is.
per,
I don't have the number in front of me on my big book, but we have a policy that says if you put a grinder pump,
Yeah.
and we also have a policy that we put in that if there's any potential of a sump pump, we will put grinder pumps. Nonetheless, we're putting grinder pumps, so the policy you're going to use, I don't have the number,
Okay.
but it is a policy of the board
okay.
in our policy
And waive
manual.
the 18,000 connection fee because of the use of grinder pumps?
That's what it is. Or you could just
Or
put
just-
per policy. It's a policy, it's per policy. Whichever you choose.
So we have two amendments to this particular December 19th minutes.
Right. Do I have a motion with the amendments?
Oh, I make a motion that we accept the minutes based on the amendments to the grinder pump policy. I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the meeting as written with the addition of the clarification of the policy which states grinder pumps.
And the section change
For the charter.
And the section change for the charter.
to 3-7.
3-7.
Do I have a second? Peter? Peter?
Yeah, just a second. Are you going to mention the policy?
She did.
I did.
Oh, I didn't get it. I'm sorry.
The charter is being changed from 6-7 to 3-7.
That I got.
Okay, the other one is that we've added the word because of the use of grinder pump policy.
Do you have a number on
No, we don't. We said we did not have a number.
I'm looking. How about, number 12? It says the following standards of construction shall apply to all force main connections. All pumps shall be grinder-type pumps. Is that where it would be?
No,
in there?
there's a policy, it's a short one that simply says that when connecting to sewer, especially there's not a lateral provided, that if they use a grinder pump, the cost of that system is, it goes, technically goes against the cost of the sewer development, which is 18,000. The cost of that is 38,000, so the 18 is nothing. And that's, you want me to look for it? Maybe I can, it's a short policy. You want me to? I can if you would
Sure,
like.
it's right here. I mean, you can look.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not sure which one it is. I was just looking under this section.
Policies?
Yeah.
Is it the one that deals with connection to a force mains?
No, this is, they go into a ground.
It's all by itself?
Yes. It's SO7-01, the sewer system
Wait a minute,
development charge.
SO7 dash,
01.
thank you.
Sewer system development charge connects towns is equal to the most recent betterment. Sewer system charge when a gravity feed connection is not possible and a pump system is required is equal to the amount of the most recent sewer betterment less the cost of the pumping system.
Okay.
The cost of the pumping system is greater than the cost of the betterment. So therefore, there's no sewer development fee. So it's policy number S07-01.
S?
Yes, S07-01.
Okay. Okay. You want to state that as part of the motion? Second it?
I thought we covered it. We didn't cover it? We have to do it again? Yes?
No, we covered it.
I never second your motion, because I was asking what the policy number is.
Okay.
So just add your policy number to the motion, and I'll second it.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the meeting of, what date was it?
19th of December.
19th of December, 2019, as amended, sewer system,
SO7,
as amended with S07-01 policy. And we also would like to amend it for clarification that it was, that the charter was 3.7.
correct.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Beautiful.
I'm abstaining.
.301. Now we have Weston and Sampson contract for on-call repair.
Is there any different than what we
Emergency
have up till
services?
now?
No, this is a renewal that expired December 31st, and so it's been at the attorney's, but it's renewal of the exact same thing. We're just renewing it for this year.
Make a motion that we accept Weston and Sampson's proposal, continuation of their on-call services.
For clarification, do we have a copy of that?
It's in the folder.
It was in the folder, thank you. Okay. I second it then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
400.
I get it, okay.
Guy, superintendent's report, please.
Mr. Chairman, members, I'd like to add We have that emergency contract with Weston Sampson for services. We're also working on a contract to go out to bid to get a ops company to help us with the pump stations, to take care of the pump stations. I'll keep you abreast on that with some discussions, and we're going to put something together. When I have something on that, I'll present it to the board. So we're continuing on that process. The generator in Nantucket is just about in. We have to put louvers, because that was from a water system to a cooling system. The building had no louvers, so we had to have it designed, and we had to have it designed for the right amount of louvers in and out, so we could open the doors. That's probably should be another 2 to 3 weeks, and that'll be completed. And we'll move forward on that. I want to put this off. I heard it make a noise, and that's not good. The process we started for the generators, that it will be on Saltworks Road and on Terry Lane. GHD, that contract, they started that work. He's in contact with Conservation to make sure there's no issues there. He's meeting with Dave, and we'll do whatever we have to do on those particular two. Let me just put this off. I apologize. I should have put it off before I came in. All right. So that's being done to as we speak. 1, 2, 3. We are moving forward on the contract that we have, the 2 contracts, to do the do the survey and engineering of the force main from Narrows Pump Station all the way to the treatment plant. The company, the engineering firm, Wright Pierce notified me that they have made a selection. They had to interview some surveyors to actually survey the entire road, layout of all the different types of utilities, and so they could do what they call a layout line of the pipe itself. The company that I'm told that I think it's JC Engineering, a local company, will do all that work. And I believe it's a $57,000 contract. And so that'll be awarded. They told me they're done with that vetting. And then now that we'll start moving forward and get all that surveying done, have a complete layout of Minot Ave from Narrows Pump Station through Narrows Ave, through Minot Ave, through the river into the treatment plant. So that's moving along. So I'll keep you informed as we move along on that process.
Excuse me, Guy, any impact with the connection to the school?
It's going to impact everything on Minot Ave.
Okay.
That's going to be the condos, the school. The biggest issue for me right now in that, so you're aware, is we have a building that houses a series of garages downstairs. Used to be the old Snow Jones building tied into that pump station. That pump station is going to be abandoned. The school is going to abandon it. And they're going to build a new one. So we're talking to the guy across the street, the owner, and explain to him that we're abandoning that pump station. There's some options. He may have to do another connection. He's also doing a building down below, do a common connection to come into the new line or the old line, whichever happens first. It's going to be on him. They talked about them doing an easement so he could own the pump station that's on school property. Where that's going to all end up, I can't tell you, but that's
As long as
out
it's
there.
being considered, because you have that second
Absolutely.
building at Snow, and you've got, 5 houses going along? 5 houses being cleared along Minot Ave? Between
is
the old Snow,
development- yeah, and
between
that's-
the old Snow building and.
Absolutely,
yes.
all
So
that,
just be
so-
aware that
Oh,
you've
we
got
are.
those buildings going in there.
And it's
Okay.
all timing, and so I'm trying to figure out. And also on the 124 and 136, Minot Ave, those duplexes, he has another set down below. I'm doing some vetting because we're going back and forth online. I remember the board approving the first section. I do not remember the board approving the second section. So as far as I'm concerned, they're really not on the table. And I'm vetting all our paperwork and presenting that, so, they said, because they put water in already for those, and I said, that's all well and good, but I do not remember the board giving you permission to connect into the force main. And as long as that permission hasn't been granted, he cannot connect in. So I'm going to vet that and make sure I get the proper letters out to him and to the town and everybody that's involved before it gets too far along, because I believe they want to resell it, and there's all kinds of things going on, but I just want to, so I'll clarify that with the board and make sure, because it's 2 separate developments now. So
The old
yes,
Snow and Jones, is that connected to the force main?
it's connected to the pump station across the street, which serviced the school, which then is connected to the force main.
Is that pump, that hasn't been torn down yet, has it?
No, they tore everything around it and we isolated it, but they'll never use it again.
But it's still there.
Absolutely.
It's being used by the old occupants of the snow building.
So
Okay.
who maintains it? If it has a failure, who maintains it? We've been doing it for the school for all these years, at no charge to the school. I wasn't around when they tied in Snow and Jones, but so I figured as a courtesy, I continue to maintain it, I repaired it, I took care of it. When the school abandons it, I'm doing nothing with it. I'm
So-
walking away,
How does it,
or this department.
how does it go from Snow and Jones building?
Gravity into the wet well that's in that, across the street.
Gravity to the pump station?
Yes, then forced into the force main.
At the pump station that's right at the school?
Yes.
Well, who
So
who
how are
technically
these other
owns-
houses gonna be connected?
They're down below. The other houses, they're gonna direct, so when we did the original one, if you remember, it's a good question. The force main comes down and takes a left to go down towards the river and under the river. They were gonna connect right there, and that's already been approved. That's gonna be on that piece that goes down to the river.
Sorry, we're talking the 5 new homes that are being cleared, or are you talking something else?
Talking the 5, those actually are duplexes. They're not homes, they're duplexes. Other homes, they're duplexes.
Yeah, and all they,
6 duplexes, not 5, there's 6. 3 sets. And then they're doing another 3 sets that we haven't approved yet. So it's actually 12.
How'd they get by you, Sandy?
no, they've got all, the conservation has approved,
How many sets? They're condos. I'm sorry, I'm calling them condos, they're duplexes.
conservation doesn't need to know if they're single-family or duplexes.
We
We're
do.
looking at the site they're on, and I remember clearing 5. 5
actually
buildings
si-
between Snow and Jones and the guy that built the 3-story house that got run into.
Yes, down by the fire station.
Yes, I mean, I'm aware of 5 units being approved.
So this board has approved 3 buildings in your, 2
Yep.
buildings in yours. That's all we've approved. The other ones we have not even approved. So everybody can approve it, but we haven't approved it at this
Okay.
board, so they don't have permission to
I
tie
hope the
in.
owners know that.
They know the procedure.
Okay,
So
Is
I
that-
think what the owners are thinking is they're going to piggyback it to the first project. That's why I said what's going on. I've been back and forth, so.
there's some distances between some of those units. Some of them are right up against the train tracks, and there's some, which means they're quite a distance from Minot Ave. 2 of them are going to share the same driveway into Minot Ave. Sorry, I'm off topic.
Yeah, so I'm following that to make sure what we approved is all they're allowed to build at this point in time.
Hey, let me back up to a question I've got, is on that pump station that the school is abandoning, who owns it?
School.
Who will build a
Whose
replacement?
property? It's on school property?
School, yes.
So is there any way for, and is it feasible, practical, for Snow and Jones to take ownership of that particular thing? Or buy
The
it?
school's offered him that. He's going to need an easement. He's going to need some type of legal document that gives him right. They've talked about it, and they've
Okay,
actually
so
presented that
at least
to
it's under
him.
discussion on that.
Absolutely, he's
so-
aware.
So he can potentially stay as is if he acquires ownership or of the use at least of the pump station.
Exactly, and we,
The maintenance then would be in his ballpark,
everything says he
not
owns it.
ours.
That's right. I think no matter what, we're out of the business. We're out of that particular school business
Okay.
of pump stations. We're out of the business,
But the school has to build a new one?
yes.
Where?
It's going to be up further a little bit more. They're going to have to get
Underground.
permission to tie into this force main.
So what's going to happen to the Snow and Jones connection?
I don't know. If Snow and Jones makes a deal with the school to do
Everything stays the
an
same.
easement and take over that pump station, then nothing happens. They just take ownership and maintain it because the connection is there. For Snow and Jones, the question becomes, is they cleared below it and they're going to put another building. Can that gravity uphill? I don't know. So what I suggested to Snow and Jones is because I don't think they can gravity uphill to the one that's there, is to gravity the first one, disconnect from Minot, gravity down to the second one, and tie that one into the force main. But what they do is their business. So I can't tell you what the second, but the first building, that's there. He's dealing with the school. When the school makes a decision, because either they're going to tear it down or they're going to give it away, and I don't know what's going to happen. But it's out there for discussion. I believe the town was involved, and I just know that we're no longer going to take care of that pump station, because we have no skin in the game there.
Okay, well, that's, well, that gets us out of it, okay. And we don't have to worry about it.
We're charging Snow and Jones EDUs.
We still put the.
We do. That'll, no matter what they do for connection, we'll charge them. We charge folks for EDUs that own their own private stations all the time anyways, like Elm Street, they own that. We charge them EDUs because they're paying for the service of and treatment of their product.
Right. The EDUs have nothing to do with the pump
It's
station.
use, and pump stations are on there, they own them, they maintain them, they take care of them. They have to have a maintenance agreement with us.
Are you suggesting then that Snow and Jones and these 3 or 5 houses all tie together and then connect to the force main?
No, what I'm saying, Snow and Jones, take it separate, one at a time. Snow and Jones is all on their own. The buildings between Snow and Jones, which is a different owner, and I think it was Outback Engineering that I dealt with, but from the building from Snow and Jones all the way down to the East Wareham Fire Station, that area there, that's a separate. We've approved already, 3 years ago, I believe it was, that they could tie in the first 3 sets of condos. Duplexes, whatever they're gonna call it, I think they're kind of, whatever they are. And they're gonna tie into the force main that runs down the hill under the river, which is off of Minot Ave. And they're gonna tie them all in parallel, and they connect one tap. They wanna do 3 taps, we can give them 1 tap, and then they're going to run a series of lines and manholes to service those buildings. That's on them. That plan we've approved. That's as far as we're going with it. The second section, we haven't approved. I don't remember this board approving it. So if the board has not approved it, then it's not happening. It's that simple. And so that's where we are with that, and I'm vetting that online with this new viewpoint. And the guy keeps saying, no, we got it, but I think he's misunderstanding. I believe what he's thinking is that because I got permission for the first 3, then I can do the next section, and that's not the case. We approve specific to what he presented, nothing else. So I want to make that clear. So those 2, those are
And then
different.
the school is a totally separate issue?
And then another school is a separate issue because they got to put theirs. They're going to go up further, and that pump station has to handle 2 schools in essence now, which is greater flow, and they have to redesign it. So because they got the minor school's going to be there and the Deacon school, like 2 wings. So in theory, it's a bigger school, more flow, and so they get designed for that. Excuse me, so that's another whole separate issue. Then down below, we have a series of condos. They have their own pump station, they tie that in. Then we've got the nursing home, that ties in. Then we've got Peter Cooper, that ties in. And then we also have Indian Neck, that ties in. And then we go a little further, and there's a gentleman, the old engineer, he has his force main, that ties in. And then the shipbuilding, they have a force main, that ties in. They have a pump station. So all those have to be addressed. Yes, absolutely. And then, of course, Narrows Restaurant. So yeah, there's quite a bit of work. It isn't just a slam dunk. All that has to be considered, and how do I take them offline? It's not then all that has to be calculated, figured, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, they're working on it. The surveys will go out there. The surveyors will lay all that out, the specifics.
They can figure that out, because we can't.
That's right. That's on them. That's why they hired them to
Exactly.
do that. They'll figure it all out. We'll be off the hook, and then they'll take their plans,
Go from
and
there.
then they'll finish their design. So that's being done. I believe it was $57,000. Okay. So that's that's on them. Because we gave them a contract, they're gonna contract it, so that's gonna come out of the $100,000 we gave them for that. So that's out of their money, not ours.
Now, we're talking about relining that,
No, replacing it.
replacing it.
We talked about relining it, and we really can't, because to reline is gonna go 1,000 feet at a time, and you gotta add.
So when we replace it, all of these things have to be figured into it, and they'll all be,
Reconnected. Yes. So it would take the existing connection, just move it over. And the other force main will leave. We're not gonna abandon it, because it makes no sense to do anything with it. We'll have that. In the event someday, God forbid, we need to use it, we have it.
So that,
oh,
in
totally
theory,
agree with that.
what we're gonna be doing is we'll be installing a new pipe
Yes.
from Narrows to the pump station, to the plant. Once that's completed, then we'll gradually disconnect from the old line. Time,
Just as we go, yes,
as we
absolutely.
go over. So that we'll never shut anything off, we don't have to do bypasses or anything like that.
No, bypass, it would kill us. We looked at the cost of bypass, and it's millions, just to bypass, and it just doesn't
So
make any
that's,
sense.
so we stay up and operating until
Correct.
the pipe is in the ground and completed, and then we can go back.
Switch them over one at a time. And that becomes minimal impact to our customers. And also, the force main coming out of the Narrows pump station, what we plan to do is go under the directional drill under the highway to Bessie's Park, then under the river, because the pipe now under the bridge is in water. High tide, that pipe is submerged, and it's rotting, and I don't want to put another pipe submerged in water because the tide's coming up. And if we ever have a storm, took that bridge out, then we have no force main. And the whole one of the things we're going to do is to rehab that, the pump station to make it resilient, but with a resilient pump station and no force main, we've got nothing. So by directional under the river, we protect it, and everything's underground, and it's protected, so it'll never go away. So all that's part of the design also,
Going from the Narrows pump station to where?
to this pump
Plant.
station.
Mike, it's on and I can't get much closer than, sorry. It's going from the Narrows pump station to where?
The
To
plant.
here, to the plant,
Actually to the plant?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's replacing, the one that's there now goes from the Narrows pump station all the way to the plant. It feeds to the plant, and we're going to replace that.
Is there a pipe along Sandwich?
No, nothing on Sandwich Road. No sewer on Sandwich Road.
The light's on. Okay.
There's no sewer on Sandwich Road, none.
Okay, thank you. Better? I think so, because I just turned it on.
The hill like
The other way, actually.
Should you turn it on?
Okay, so we took the clarifier down, actually Monday, and we found some issues, repaired it, and we're going to put it back online. We had some issues with it properly removing some solids. We had issues with the bracketing. We had to redo the bracketing. And we also had to look at it because in next year's budget, we're going to replace the center drum. We had to re-verify that and look at that. So we're going to do clarify 2 tomorrow, and then we should be done, because we can only do repairs and maintenance of this magnitude between November 1 and middle of March, and it's all weather related. So we've had some good weather, so we do some crazy things there. We got both basins emptied, cleaned, and we're filling one up now as normal use, so that's a big plus, getting ready for the spring waters, the rains and the high waters and all that good stuff, so we're getting ready for that. So we're moving forward on that. And Mr. Chairman, that's about all I have for my report.
Good. Any questions? Anybody?
Mr. Chairman, one final thing, I apologize.
Yep.
I was out to Wareham Crossing. We talked about grease. I've been doing the pretreatment. I met the company taking care of their grease traps out there. I met them the other day, I believe it was Tuesday, spent probably about a couple, 3 hours with them. I found some sanitary teas on the discharge that aren't there, which means we're getting direct feed of grease from those restaurants. So I notified the owner of those buildings. I've notified the company. I got an email today that next Tuesday they're going to do an entry. They're going to do an entry, get in there, and actually repair these teas, so it'll stop the grease from coming to us. So I'm working on that. I've been to Lindsay's Market, some others. I'm finding that some change of chefs or what have you, and the information wasn't changed, so I told them I'd do it again, and so, so anyways, I want you to know I'm working on that grease.
It's going to
and
be ongoing with the restaurants.
It's going to be ongoing. They change so often that the new person says, I have no idea, and I don't know how else to handle it. So I just want you to know I'm working on the grease, the pretreatment, I'm doing it myself, and so I'll keep you abreast as we go along on that also. Again, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, unfinished business, number 1 on the list. I'm going to turn this over to Peter, discussion of the town charter.
You had asked for definitions. See if this is better suited for what you're looking for. POD, is that a better explanation than what you had in there? Is that less complicated? I made all these terminologies up, because you had asked about terminology in one of these.
Well, yeah, but that all comes in when we get to the bylaws. I don't think we have to worry
Okay,
about
so I'll
that
give you-
as far as the
I think
as
on
the charter.
I think on the charter it's about BOD or something. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But anyways, I
think
think
it
it's
was-
just a definition. You can have these.
The charter is just this 3-7 section.
Well, this is yours. It's got better terminology.
terrific,
See if it's
terrific.
easier, let me know. I can keep searching, but I think that's.
No, I'll take that with me for next
Yeah,
Monday.
I gave that for you. That should be a little easier to send.
All right, great, thank you, Guy. Now, what I gave you a little while ago is some of the changes that we're talking about doing for the charter. And it's a work in progress, so I really kind of need some help here. If you take the old charter, section 3-7, you got a copy of the old one?
At home with all my other paperwork and my questions, but
Okay.
I remember, I read it,
All
so.
right,
Do you need 3-7? I've got my charter with me.
I've got one.
Plus I got the
No, it's
copies.
all right.
No, you're gonna need it, Sandy.
I
you're
am.
gonna need it.
The charter, you're gonna need the charter?
Yeah.
I've got my charter with me, so I'll give you my 3-7.
3-7. If you're gonna follow the conversation, you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
This is all 3-7.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So, section A, 3-7, section A, the composition, that's fine, leave it alone. Okay?
Yep.
Now, what Jimmy and I were just talking about is taking what is listed here as C and bringing that up to be under A. In other words, change C
To be.
to B.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, C to B.
Just so that we
Yep.
have a little bit of continuity. All right?
May I write on this guy?
Yeah, yeah, so whatever change,
Thank you.
that's fine. I'll put, it's,
Did you get the new one, Sandy? You can
Yes.
write all over it, because I got extras here.
No, I have that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the new C, take all of B, of the old B, and just discard it, and take what I labeled as B in the new one. And basically what it does is it takes that whole prose and breaks it down. It
I see, yeah. You've
It just
give
makes
them
it
point-
easier to read.
It's not running together.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right? All right, now, here's where we're getting into a little bit of a sticky problem. And this is where we want some help. Under item 8, the one that's in the red ink of the new section,
This one right here.
yeah.
You got it, Sandy?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Under that, how about if we affirm or reject any appointment to an open employment end? Stop right there. And then, under 8, have an A and a B. And that would be what's listed here as D 2 and 3.
Does it say that we have to say yea and nay to all employments within the sewer department? Did I read that right?
Excuse me?
Did I read it right to say that we, as the sewer commissioners, have to say yea or nay to all employment, all hires or fires within the sewer department?
Yeah,
We've never done that.
okay.
Okay. So, I mean, are we just going to say to Guy, yes, we say,
It's in there,
but we've never done it?
we've never done it. And all I'm doing here with the hiring process is spelling it out.
You're clarifying the words, yeah, making it
But
easier to understand.
What I want is, I want the resume, the opening is posted. The resumes come in. Before Guy wastes his time on them, Human Resources checks the resumes. Then Guy does the interviews. He lists the ones he wants, 1, 2, 3. Submits that to Derek. And Derek picks 1, 2, or 3
For every hire.
for every hire.
Why should there?
He does it now.
He does it now? I don't understand why isn't he hiring his own people? I don't understand.
Who?
Guy.
Well, that,
Because everybody works for the town administrator.
Everybody works for
Guy can't hire people. But what we're doing is we're having guys tell the town administrator, pick one of these 3.
Can someone tell me what's the process we use now?
Probably, but
No,
this
it just-
spells it out.
I know, but I'm trying to, so Guy, you have an opening at the sewer plant for a level,
An
support.
operator.
An operator. What is your process? You post the job,
I notified the Human Resources.
you post the job, and
Human
someone,
Resources posts the job.
Okay.
I just tell her I got a position.
okay,
She
so
posts it.
she posts the job,
She gets the resumes. She'll call me that she has resumes. She does pull the bad ones if they don't meet the qualifications. In other words, if you need a license, and you don't have a license, she throws it away. When she does that.
okay, she vets them.
She vets them, absolutely. And then she'll send them to me. I'll vet them further to say, well, this guy really doesn't have a license further. And then she will set up interviews, and we sit down, we interview.
The two of you together?
That is correct. When we're completed, and we both interview, the process we use is, it's a point system. And that, I guess that's to eliminate any type of bias, because I can't, so it's a point
So you rate
system.
everybody in the
You rate
particular, yeah,
everybody,
okay.
then we sit down and we debate. And I tell her who I want, and ultimately, it's their decision, but I tell them, here's what I'd like to have.
Who's they?
It would be this town administrator, and Doreen is now the assistant town administrator, so they would make the decision. Derek has final say on everything.
You make your recommendation to Doreen, and
decides.
Derek gets together and say yea or nay and hire them. That's the process today.
Yes, and so let me be clear, and not this particular, but in the past, I've made decisions, and they've hired who they wanted depending upon
You're just-
what they
okay.
wanted to do.
So,
So I think what they're getting at is we should, but anyways,
so
yes.
that's what's happening today. Peter, what this charter says, where do we insert the sewer commissioners in that process?
we're inserting the sewer commissioners in the decision was basically to back up Guy. He's gonna take and make the recommendations, and if they pick somebody else, we have the approval authority on whether or not they take them.
Do we
We
s-
can reject that.
Do we see their
Well,
resume? Do we interview?
No,
Okay,
no.
so
No, we're-
what are we
Read it,
using?
just the way it says it right there.
Yeah, it says it's exactly the way it's spelled out
So
here.
what,
Everything that Guy just said is 2,
yes,
okay? Now, all we're doing is adding 3, because if he submitted A, B, C, and Derek hired C as opposed to A because he's cousins, brothers, sisters, aunt, we could say no.
but what information do the sewer commissioners have to say whether or not A, B, and C should be hired, or we just, whatever
We
guy?
rely on the superintendent.
Okay, so we rely on
Right.
Guy's
So all
recommendation.
I'm doing is backing Guy up.
Okay, so we have no say other than what Guy presents to us. We don't say yea or nay to anything he presents to us. Whatever he sends to us, we support.
We don't have to, but
But,
that's what
If
I'm
we have
trying to.
reasons- If we
yes,
have
because
reasons
we
not to
have,
support them,
well,
we don't.
keep in mind, we don't have any additional information like a resume or anything that would
What's
change.
your point?
I'm just trying to think, what do we
Make it
add?
intelligent.
What do we add to the process without any information on our own?
if you need the resumes, you can have them, but.
No, I'm
I
trying,
say that, but what I'm saying to you is decisions are made now, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but the people making the decisions now, what do they know about wastewater on the people we're hiring? What do they know?
they see a resume.
Backing
Yes, and
up-
that's all, we're back.
Backing
We're
up
here to
what
back
his,
him up. In other words, we're going on his recommendation. Say they don't want his recommendation, and his recommendation has the qualifications and everything else.
So-
They want somebody else. We want the ability to back him up.
So Guy would come to us in executive session,
What?
would Guy come to us in an executive session to talk about the individuals?
if it was necessary.
Okay.
Why would it have to be an executive session? It's not an employee of the town at that point.
That's correct, he's not. That's true, he's not.
What's the fly in the ointment
But
to
I'm
you,
trying to,
Sandy?
let's-
I'm trying to understand what additional information this board has that can say yay or nay to a hire.
Why do you say additional information?
what's necessary.
What do I know? I know nothing about,
Know whether or not you believe him.
and that's
what
it.
you need to know.
So the
Because
only
that's all we're
reason,
doing,
the
we're
only,
trying to back him up.
the only reason this is here, in case they hire somebody that Guy did not recommend.
Yes.
Exactly.
I'm just trying, okay, then
All right.
I guess I got to the point. It just took a while to get around the corner as to what the point was.
Well, if you had said that way in the first place,
I was asking for information. Alan said, be careful. He warned you that I was coming back from vacation.
we were warned.
Yes, you were warned.
Do you have any problem with that guy?
Not at all. I think the board personally, this is just personally, but I think the board should have more say and jurisdiction of what we do generally, and this is fine, this is fine.
That's my point, okay. All right, so we've gotten past that point. Now, this whole section of the day-to-day operation in the new copy, how do we decide we're gonna work that, Jimmy?
We're gonna add, this is where we had the
See,
discussion. That
If
was
you
gonna
look
be
at, if you
another-
look at the new piece,
line.
the new paper there, and it says D,
D.
sewer superintendent.
Yes.
Ignore that on the new one, okay? Because it really,
Okay.
what it was is, what
That's been
Holly
moved
was
up.
doing was, in the old one,
Yeah,
under D2
yeah,
is where the hiring process was, and she was correcting it,
okay.
okay?
This, the new section, day-to-day operation, that would be sewer superintendent
Yeah, now,
is,
so we're past, we got these points
Yeah.
are up there now, okay?
Okay, so we have 8 that says affirm or reject any appointment to an open employment position, period. Then we will add A,
And that
hiring
will-
process for a sewer department, and
Correct.
B, sewer commissioner's review of appointments. So
Right.
8A and B is what
You got it.
which is what we just talked about.
Yes.
Now we're talking about this section called the day-to-day in those 2 paragraphs.
now
Okay.
we're talking about
The day-to-day operation of those 2 paragraphs.
which will be the new D, which would be sewer superintendent, and then that would be the day-to-day operation.
It won't be D, it would be C.
Now, we got A was okay.
It would be
And B, we have powers and duties, and the
D-
next one would be
D
C.
would be C. The new C would be the powers and duties.
Is now C, not B? Okay,
Would be
sorry.
powers and duties.
Okay, and now D is commission,
E would become sewer superintendent.
and those are the 2 paragraphs we're now talking about.
Right, that, well, the one actually, which would be the day-to-day. I don't believe there was anything else that needed to be thrown in there, was it, Peter?
Say that again?
We were talking about this being D, correct?
Yeah, that's gonna be the new C.
New D. Because A stays the same, B
Is appointments.
is,
Yes, B is appointments, and
that's
then
right, too.
C is powers and duties,
correct, I'm sorry. I did
and
that,
D
that's right.
is sewer superintendent.
Yes.
Okay.
Which comes, the paragraph, the day-to-day, and ends with Chapter 150E of the general laws, period. That all comes under D, sewer superintendent. Do I understand that correctly?
Misheard what you just said, Sandy. I'm looking at D is going to be this new section in here, the day-to-day operation.
Only the first paragraph.
Right,
The
correct.
second paragraph, starting the above section, is to be eliminated.
Correct. And, because that's all included, yeah, because number 1 is included in there, okay, right.
Okay, so we're okay all the way through C with the addition of C8, A, and B, correct?
Yes.
All right. So now we're going on to D, and we take the original D.
Wait a minute, can you go back a second?
Yep.
I want to go back after C. You're going to make C, A, and B.
No. We'll take this all as C,
Yeah,
and then
okay,
when we get down to 8,
yeah,
we add A and B.
Okay.
and this is the A and B.
gotcha, okay, all right,
All right?
I got it.
All right, so now we're down to D, and go back to the original D.
Which starts out superintendent, the appointment of a you mean
Right.
that's D?
That's
Yep.
eliminated, because we've already got that in here on,
I don't know. Peter, why are we looking at the old D?
because you need,
Because it is covered under
So th-
6.
Okay, so it's been eliminated.
right,
Well,
that first section.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I see, yeah, yep. It's already,
okay, it can be eliminated.
Yep.
Unless you want to expand on number 6. As you see on the new one, she suggested see subsection D.
D.
Well, subsection, oh, we don't have a D anymore.
In other words, if you put in D, we put this in, and then we put this section here,
Well, yeah, we want to work this in.
but that should be D.
Well, it can be, but you don't want it to be this D, the way it's referred to in 6.
No,
That's what I'm, so that's the point I'm trying to make now.
you just put a
We
period
want to
after.
get, we want to have this day-to-day operation, care and maintenance. We want that in there. But we also want to mention how the superintendent is appointed.
Or fired.
So,
One quick question. When they wrote this charter, the superintendent was not in a union. Now the superintendent's in a union. How does that work?
why should that change anything?
Because it's collective bargaining, the union, if there was an issue with me, it would go to my union. The union would fight for me, so maybe it doesn't change. I'm just asking, when we wrote this charter, there was no union.
Yeah,
Now, we're under, management is under a union. So I don't know, I'm just asking, but does it affect it? I don't know, I just want to, because I don't think, if you knew, but we're under a union.
Why would it make any difference?
Well, because here, when I read this, it doesn't talk about anything for cause, just fire 'em.
What?
about cause, for cause. If you read it, it doesn't say superintendent should be fired for cause. It gives you procedure to fire him, but nowhere do I read for cause and what those causes are. It's very arbitrary, open, and ended. And with a union, it better be a very specific cause.
But if we start putting in all of the unions, we're gonna go into that every place.
I understand that, because then the old D, that's why I think the old D down here, I think it's D, or down here says something along the lines of, collective bargaining and all that good stuff, because I think Derek has collective bargaining, and all the employees on the collective bargaining, I don't know if you have any
That's
jurisdiction over that.
all dealt with under
That's
the
personnel.
powers and duties of the town administrator.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to, union, civil service, all of that stuff doesn't have to be mentioned as far as this section, because we're dealing mainly with the sewer commissioners. We really could leave all of this superintendent stuff out.
Okay,
But part of this mentioned that the sewer commissioners have no day-to-day say. So what I'm trying to do is put that back in. And as long as we're doing it, how are you appointed? And then the day-to-day operation is all under you. So
Excuse me, Peter, just a sec, but to answer to your question, Guy, is it's in this section of the day-to-day operation, when you read down there, the town administrator shall maintain and exercise administrative control over personnel as provided by this charter, and the select board shall be the town's sole collective bargaining agent. So, I think that kind of covers that in there.
okay.
So we're back to my original question. How do we take of the section D of the original 3-7 and tie it together with this day-to-day operation? Do we start another whole section? We're up to A, we've got what?
We're up to D.
Is that how we do it? Do we do it D and leave this original D and then add this to it?
You take the original over here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where you get, now turn the page. You take this out, and you put this in. And
So under D, the old D, you will have one, the superintendent shall be responsible, and that is where you put in the day-to-day operation statement, under D1.
that's what you just said, yeah.
So instead of D1 reading the way it does, we put this in?
The day-to-day paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and we can just completely eliminate 2? Because we've covered it?
We've covered that in 8, A
Okay,
and B.
okay,
Okay. Yeah.
all right. So that's gone, that's covered, and this becomes the new D.
We have D, then we have a D1.
Right.
Yeah.
You okay with that, guy?
Don't wake them up,
We okay with that?
don't wake them up.
All right, I'll get it. Oh, no, don't bother getting a motion. Why don't you let me take this back to charter review and get this rewritten that way? And then,
Sounds good to me.
you know,
Just, I guess I'm reading the old D one more time. Why are the selectmen mentioned so many times in the old D?
Because they were the
because
sewer
they were the
commissioners.
source.
Yeah, but what should it read now?
Well, yeah,
The old D, should the old D, where we talk about the Board of Selectmen, should we Or is it town administrator? I'm concerned that the old D mentions the Board of Selectmen so many times, and I'm trying to figure out how they get involved.
Well, theoretically, the final
Appointment has been
arbitrators.
filled with the Board of Selectmen unless the Board of Selectmen shall, within that period of by a majority vote of all its members, reject the appointment of, why should the selectmen get
we
to
eliminated
reject the appointment of the superintendent?
I thought we eliminated that.
Well, we talked about the old D.
I think in the new D, it's no longer there.
There isn't any new D yet.
Yeah, there is. The day-to-day.
That's D1.
That's
And what it,
D1.
We had D, the old D, and we put a number 1 underneath it to talk about the day-to-day. I'm concerned about the old D still referring to a
Okay,
selectman.
all right.
he eliminated it.
No. Okay.
I see your point. We gotta get the selectman out of there,
Yes, we do.
but we can't appoint him.
No, Derek does, town administrator does,
Right.
and it should be, yeah.
So you appoint.
But he should, the town, we can recommend you, but we can't hire you.
So,
So how do we say that?
Your recommendation from this board to Derek.
no, the recommended appointment of a sewer supervisor shall be made by the recommendation for appointment.
See, the old one said
Shall
here,
be
the
ma-
sewer commissioner, appointment of the sewer superintendent shall be made by the sewer commissioners, and
Yeah.
shall become effective 2 days after the notice of this appointment has been filed with the Board of Selectmen. That could
Okay,
be filed with the.
it's filed with them, so, but it's not actually asking for their approval?
No, it says file with them, but you could put file with the town administrator, unless, then it says, unless the Board of Selectmen shall within a period of, or by a majority vote of all its members. So what this says is that the selectmen have final say on anything.
Yes, and that's not,
That's what it says.
And
And that's what you want to
want
eliminate.
Take out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, so your new one doesn't mention that. I think the old, I think the new, I don't know, I don't see anywhere that says final approval of the selectmen in the new. The new is what you're trying to change to. Because right now, the selectmen have final say over everything technically on the sewer department, everything, everything.
So then, looking at D,
the old D,
the old D, we leave it as the appointment of a sewer superintendent shall be made by the sewer commission.
the recommendation for appointment. We cannot appoint, but we can recommend.
The appointment of a sewer
The
superintendent shall be made by the
recommendation.
sewer commission.
For appointment.
Why can't we appoint the sewer superintendent?
We're not a hiring board.
Right.
According to the charter, but you're writing the
And
charter.
shall be,
But I
yes.
want to change the charter.
The old
So if we
charter-
wanna change the charter, why can't we have that?
The superintendent reports to Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan has the final say as to who his employees are.
The original charter had the superintendent and the board going to Derek. They revised it, changed it the following year, I think it was following, they revised it and put it back to the selectmen. If you look at the original writing, I forget the individuals that wrote this in the first place, that's how it was. And then it became an issue for some folks, and they changed it and put it all back to the selectmen.
That's because the selectmen were the sewer commissioners.
No. When they wrote it, they wrote the original policy to remove it. And in that new policy, it stated that all the jurisdiction fell on you guys. The selectmen pulled it back, because that's what it was voted on. They pulled it back and modified it. They changed it to put it back to them. They did. Absolutely. So you decide where you want to go with it. You're rewriting the charter. You decide where you want to go with it.
It's my understanding the selectmen have the final say on town administrator. Town administrator has the final say on everybody else. That's my understanding.
Town administrator has total, as far as I understand, total responsibility for all personnel in the town.
That's right.
Hired personnel in the town of
Yes.
Wareham. Yes. We're not changing that. He still has it, but the board has a right to make their
I don't want the
appointment or
Board of
recommendation.
Selectmen that can reject an appointment
That's right.
for sewer superintendent.
Absolutely.
It should-
Absolutely.
Yep.
So tell me how you want to say it.
If we take this, Sandy,
We're all in agreement.
Yeah,
to cover what you're looking for, if you go back to this again, sewer superintendent, the appointment of a sewer superintendent shall be made by the sewer commission and shall become effective 15 days after notice of the appointment has been filed with the town administrator.
Yes.
unless,
Take Board of Selectmen out and put town administrator in
okay,
there,
period,
period.
okay.
And I'll change it to, appointment has been filed with the, instead of the Board of Selectmen, we should, we
I
said
said
the
the
town
town
administrator.
We said
That's what I
TA,
said.
that's where we are right
I'm
now.
sorry.
That's just what I said.
I'm sorry, I'm slow here.
Has been filed with the TA.
Yep,
Unless the Board of, and then it should say, unless the Board of Sewer Commissioners
Well, you made the appointment.
shall.
no, we
No, we
made,
made the
we made the
appointment.
appointment,
The
so
rest you just eliminate.
I'd just eliminate the rest of it.
If you look at the new three,
The new three. The new three.
that's what we want to say.
The new three what?
New three what?
That's what we want to say
Oh,
as
up here.
far as the sewer and superintendent.
No, the new three,
Up here?
C3?
Right here, right
No.
there, three.
Oh, that's not, oh, that's three.
I'm sorry, I
Right
don't,
here. Bottom of the page.
Oh, okay.
oh, that's, I'm sorry, that's
All
now
right,
eight,
That's the language we
That's-
want to say for the
that's
sewer
now eight,
superintendent.
that's now 8B, correct?
Yes.
It's not
Yes,
3 anymore,
yes,
it's now 8B.
yes.
Okay,
That's
Yes.
eight
Yes.
B.
B, yeah.
Yeah, that's B. But that language is exactly what we want. for
regarding the
for
superint,
The appointment of the sewer
So-
superintendent.
Okay.
there you go. So will you just repeat?
So the superintendent,
So
sewer commission,
D now reads C, the words in 8B.
so how do we open it up?
Start with this, again, the sewer.
Well, we go on to what Jimmy said, has been filed with the TA, period, and then within 15 days following the appointment, we talk about what we have under 8B. So it says the appointment, we make the appointment, we tell the
Okay,
TA
so-
about it.
So how's it going to read? It's going to read sewer superintendent. The appointment of the sewer superintendent shall be made by the sewer commissioners and shall become effective 15 days after notice of the appointment has been filed with the town administrator.
Right, stop,
Yeah.
period.
So if we stop there, there is absolutely no way the TA can countermand us. Correct? There's no way for the TA to reject our appointment.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't have a problem with it, I'm just wanting to make sure that we all agree that we're saying the same thing. We have the final say and the TA can't do anything about it. Which sort of contradicts having this person report to the TA and he has no say.
Maybe the,
I like it, I agree with you. I'm just wondering if we're gonna have an argument.
We will have a pushback.
we always have a pushback.
Oh, you're gonna be pushback, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
You count on it.
Pushback. I'm not concerned about that.
The TA will say he's my
The thing
employee.
is, I don't want everything that we ask for to be rejected, for one item.
Yeah, well, you don't know what that item's gonna be.
I mean, I agree with you, don't get me wrong. I think that it's just like if Guy says, I want to hire this man, and the town administrator hires that man. And if he doesn't, we can back up.
You know, there's a couple of things that bother me too. The town administrator does have the facilities to do Cory checks and different things that we don't have.
Yeah, but that's
Which is-
that's under personnel. She's still gotta go through personnel before we get to this stage.
Okay, so they've got to be vetted by personnel
Yeah.
before, okay, all
So
right.
everything's gotta be vetted
Because I was just thinking.
before you do
of-
anything.
Yeah, before you can even hire anybody in the town of Wareham, there's a whole series of things that has to happen. That's the Cory, the Suri, the
It's not like we
physical,
can go out on, the
et cetera, et
throw it
cetera,
on
et cetera.
Craigslist and pick somebody.
I've never been to Craigslist, so I don't know. I don't want all the changes to get changed or are not approved because of this either. And I also want the TA's input as, the town administrator's input as well. And he is gonna be ultimately his employee. So,
All right, but
Well, to cover your problems or questions, and I think I see the same thing, is after we do this at TA, then put, unless the TA shall, within that period,
Reject it.
reject with cause.
Now, is it possible, Peter, that we can get everything we've talked about into a new document and come back and work on this last section? Because right now, we do have a lot of changes that have been made in,
say what?
He said he'd do that earlier, he said he'd take it back, everything, rewrite it, have somebody rewrite it, and he'll bring it back. Some type of order
then
so
we
you
can
can see
talk
it.
about this last section about the appointment. I mean, we've talked about a lot of changes, and I've got
Well, not
scribbles.
really.
Not really.
Not really. All we've really done is
All we've
change the
done is, you
format.
haven't
I've
changed
got
much of.
scribbles all over the place.
Because you
format
scribble
changes.
all over everything. But
just
we didn't
format.
actually change anything. We just made it easier to read.
There's minimal changes, it's been format
We
changes.
have a major change in front of us right now in this section
That's
D.
the only one.
We've only made two fundamental changes. We've put ourselves into the hiring process of both the personnel and the superintendent.
Okay.
Those are the two changes we're making. And one we've already agreed on, the personnel.
Yes.
So all we have left, the only other change we're saying is who gets to say who the superintendent is.
Now, Jimmy, you had a recommendation that sewer commissioners make the appointment and file it with the TA.
Right.
And what was your
Then-
recommendation, Jimmy?
Then I'm suggesting that we continue on in that vein, unless the TA
I don't like that, Jimmy. That's giving
rejects,
them an out.
rejects the appointment with cause. Now, that's not the right
what's the
wording.
definition of cause?
That's not, I just got through saying, it's not the right wording.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
With reason.
No, I don't think so, because, I mean, if we start saying with cause, well, then you could say with cause every place.
Absolutely.
On any hire. I think we leave it
For
alone
me,
and we shoot for
here's
it.
all I see, and this is my simplification of it. All you do is remove the selectmen out of the process. Everything else between you and the town administrator. Right now, the selectman has the final say on everything. All you're doing to me is just removing the selectman. It's between you and the town. He keeps doing what he's doing.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Keeps doing what he's doing, and just between you two. That's it. That's all I see.
This whole section of the charter deals with elected positions,
Right,
you know, not appointed.
exactly.
So we're responsible to the public, to the voter,
Absolutely.
not the selectmen.
You're an elected board for
They
this.
are also responsible to the voter.
Well, I think,
So it's a case of checks and balances. It's our way of keeping some sort of a check on the town administrator, even though he has the right to do the hiring. I mean, if you look at the old charter,
Yep.
okay? And look at what was then on the second page, on page 17. And you look at number 2,
Yep.
okay? You read all of that down. He shall appoint and remove all of the people and so forth. And then down at the very bottom, it says, if the Board of Sewer Commissioners does not affirm or reject an appointment within 15 days, the appointment made by the town administrator shall become effective. If he affirm or reject, if we reject it, then what?
Start the
You start
process
over?
again. Start the process again.
So we're not changing anything, except we're just exercising the same amount of control over the personnel and the superintendent.
Yeah, this basically just takes the selectmen out of the mix.
I say we just shoot for it.
Okay.
And I think you're right, Jim. All you're doing is taking the selectmen out.
Yep.
You are an elected board, autonomy of the elected board, you should have.
That's it.
That's all you're asking for.
And
That's what I
we-
see.
We have these powers now. We haven't exercised them, but we have them. We haven't exercised them. That's our fault. So as far as I'm concerned, we go with that D, and we say with the town administrator, period.
And nothing else, okay?
That's it.
Works for me.
Works for me.
Okay.
What you said?
That's what I'll take back.
Are you happy now, Peter? Peter, are you happy now?
No, I'm not happy.
Happy now?
No, I'm not happy
good.
yet.
But he's working on it.
I'm telling you. Wait till we get to the bylaws.
That's gonna be a joy.
You think I'm kidding?
No, I know.
They're
you're not.
horrible.
Oh, they
I
are.
can't read, I can't
Listen-
understand half of them.
They're vague, they make sense, they're
Yes,
all over the
but do you
place.
realize we are the Charter Review Committee,
Yes.
Yeah.
not the Bylaw
bylaws.
Review Committee?
Okay, let's move on here. We'll can have this argument going all night. I can see that. C Street, and any update on C Street?
C Street, I'm walking in tomorrow, excuse me, let me get back to the mic. For Bob, let me get back to the mic. All right, sorry about that, I apologize for not being at the mic. C Street, we're walking it Monday. Again, I think I had told you folks, the board and the members of the board, chairman and the board, we looked at everything, the digging, the damming, and we decided the best way to handle it is to leave it like it is and line it to make it one solid piece, and to do all the manholes, redo all the manholes, line them. So now we have one solid structure. We've found out, and we've tested and tested, the manhole is not moving anymore. We tend to believe it's been like that for a while, but it's not moving, so it makes sense to just align it. So we're gonna look at, Monday I'm walking with a contractor to get some concepts of what it's gonna cost us, what we're looking at, so I can come to town meeting for some money. So we're doing that now. That's what C Street is, and that's how we're gonna wrap it up.
Come to town meeting from Monday?
But not, probably not this town meeting.
I was going to say,
No, I can't make
February
this town
3rd
meeting.
is the date for, no, okay.
If I was gonna do it for this town meeting, I'd put some type of placeholder, but I didn't wanna go there. So, because I wanna have
If
funds
allowed.
and
Okay,
some
so-
real hard numbers.
So you're looking at
yes.
numbers for fall town
So
meeting.
what I'll probably do is write a contract, have it bid, and then between then and don't have to award it, but bid, and then go to town meeting with real hard numbers.
Okay.
That's the plan on C Street.
Okay. Some pumps are still
Still working.
ongoing. Stone Path, anything new, update on them?
No, not at all.
Okay. Have we got any more additions to our homes?
I'm not sure, to be frank. We got another one. We did one today. Actually, I should say it, yes, we did one today. We did the paperwork for one today. Hasn't completed
Okay,
it.
well, that's a start. And the EDU rates, we're still playing that foolish game. Okay.
Mr.
Anybody-
Chairman, on rates, I gave you the last 4 years of cost. Should I give someone to each of the members?
Yeah.
I'll
that
send one
would
to each
help.
members. So I had the cost to compare them, so we talked about why we raised the rates. I'll send to each board member the
Yeah.
cost so you can relate. I did all the costs that are out there, so I'll give them to each one of you.
Okay, we've got our budget.
Could we back up just one quick question
Yep.
on EDU rates?
Yep.
Guy, did you say that you?
I'm sorry, ED rates, I apologize. Forget it. I thought, we were talking about rates in general, and Mr. Chairman wanted some verification of costs to justify it. I heard rates. I apologize. I didn't hear EDU. Cancel everything. Go ahead.
Did you say that you had from, what's that outfit up in Westwood?
I did.
Time Bond?
Time bond.
Did you had the formula?
I did, I said that. So sneak by. I won't bring it here.
Would you forward it to me, or let me get a copy sometime? Thank you.
Sorry about that, the budget, I apologize.
All right.
I misheard.
It's okay, no problem.
I apologize.
New business.
I apologize.
New business, our budget.
So you all have a copy of the budget. I have the budget, I have it also, so if there's any questions, I have all the backups. Let me get my budget. This is the 2021. This is the 2021 budget. And I took this 21 and broke it down and only made 47 pages. For you folks, I got about 247 pages.
Well, you said, I did not print it when it came in my email. I didn't have a ream to print it for, yeah.
It's only 47 pages, double-sided, you got 20. Hey. If you need a copy, I'll get you a copy. We'll have somebody. We'll have some. And so I backed up everything, because everybody keeps saying not information, then it's too much information. I don't know where to go anymore. So I provide all the information, you take what you want. Then that's how I'm going to do it, because I have backup for everything. I've got pictures of everything, I've got maps, I've got scans, I've got breakdown of everything here. I've got it all. And so if there's any questions, I'll get it to you. The basicness of the first part of it you'll see is the budget itself. And that's what goes to the town administrator and all the other backup. But that's probably what we'll present in the warrant. This is probably all that'll get presented. And then he may put some backup. I'm not so sure how much backup, but everything else is here for you folks. So if you have any questions on the budget, I have answers, we'll go, and I'm hoping to provide enough for you so you'll know exactly where your costs are and what we're spending our money on. So that's what the budget is. Now, technically, if you look at the charter, we had talked about whatever we just got done talking about, it actually said this budget had to be approved by this board and to the town administrator by January 5th. It said January 5th, which were passed. So technically, we haven't approved the budget to give to the town administrator, so he can add that budget in. So as of right now, if we don't approve it, then he'll have total discretion over the budget, as I understand it.
So
The
he
budget
has
is-
not seen this?
He has.
Oh, he has?
Because he's got to get, he's got everything. He has. And Tom has it, and Tom's working with it, and Tom wants to change the format a little bit, and he's playing with it, and he's getting back and forth to Lee. And
Reno.
Tom, the guy you hired, your consultant.
The born selectman, former born selectman.
No, he wasn't selected town administrator.
What?
He was a
Town
TA.
administrator, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah, town administrator.
Yeah.
Town administrator. So here's everything, and again, I try to do my best explanation. If you have any questions, feel free. But I think that the board should have vote on the budget, however they vote, so we can get an official vote to the town administrator.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this as submitted, so it can go on to the town administrator.
Second, anywhere?
The only reason I make this motion is because it should have been done by the 5th, which I think we should, next year we can make sure that this doesn't occur.
Move it up, yeah, we should get it
I'm
soon.
just looking not to hold up. Is that the pages?
Sorry?
Is that the pages you were talking about?
Yeah, that's Sandy. She said she wasn't
Well,
going to
no,
download it.
it's in our packet.
Oh, you have it already? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, we have the packet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why is it 9:40 here?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I know I had an extra one just in case, but, okay.
It could be.
Okay, sorry about that.
Good. Guy, was there a transference problem between the first page of the budget under direct, indirect costs, the 940 versus the breakout in the back of 912?
9:18.
Oh, there is. Did I leave that in there? Oh, yeah. So, look, this is, let me just, for full disclosure. You see this piece here? I have not gotten the updated one. They're working on it. I had to use,
I did one page.
but I was told that there would be an increase. I got the increase, and I did the increase because of the 3% and 5% that they put in here. So let me explain to you. If you look at this, if you look, that says down here, salary increase is 2%.
Yep.
Benefit increase 5%, 3%.
Yep.
Yeah.
I took the 918 and applied that to get the number that you have there. Because that's what they've been doing right along annually.
So,
But I have not got the official. If you notice, this says 2020. This is actually, was done in the 2020 is the budget we're doing now. That budget's 2021. So I took the 2020, which is here, added the 5% to that, and that became the number here in the front, which is, that number there is 2021. So if you take the 940, subtract 918, that's going to be your 5%.
Okay, that answer,
Okay? That's how I got
that
that.
wasn't included. Okay,
Because I haven't had this, I haven't got an official from the town, official indirect costs. I haven't.
gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So 940.
Oh.
Yep. Okay. Now, I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
we pay 25% of the legal?
Yep. Look at this. It's a little,
You don't want to go down that road again.
not yet, Eddie Ann.
Oh, yeah?
We do want to go down it, but not just yet. It'll just be a verbiage battle for now, between ourselves, for nothing.
How much percent is major?
What do we,
I don't know. If you look at things like the audit,
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, so what I interpret, that the majority of that audit is by the plant. It's all us. We got the majority of it. So then maybe we hire auditor. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But my point is, I don't know what that means. But I understand the word majority means that it's most of it. It's more than half of it. So that would mean that more of that bill, it's mostly ours for the audit.
Under direct cost,
Right here, under direct cost.
So I don't have a real good answer for you,
Oh, right here, okay.
because I have to kind of, like you, I have to kind of
What's
Okay.
majority?
try to figure it out.
What percentage is majority?
That's not good.
I mean, they spell out 25% for the lawyer.
Yep.
well, we wouldn't know unless we saw, I would like to, my
That's
opinion,
exactly what
I
I-
would love to see what the cost is to the town versus next to the cost being charged to water pollution control. I want to know the total cost
Well,
and,
that's exactly my point.
yeah, it's just that,
going to talk to Judy?
Then
just for information points, when you say,
I agree.
is the audit costing 20,000 and we get hit with 16,000? We don't know because we
Well,
don't
then
know
they're
what the,
75%.
yeah, we don't know what the town's cost
Majority means
is.
75%?
Yeah.
It doesn't say,
Well, that's my point.
exactly.
So Jimmy, is it something that you can speak to Judy about to get what the total
I
town's
will certainly
expenses are?
ask.
Okay.
And who's Harper?
Harper's payroll proportion?
Payroll.
The payroll company?
Yes.
And who's Valda?
Vadar.
Vadar?
Vadar.
That's the accounting system.
That's the
The
software.
accounting system.
That's a
The software
system.
package for the town that runs the accounting system.
It's an expensive dish.
I think I've caused enough trouble for one night.
I thought
And-
that
and
was
the-
my job.
In the budget, if you look at the end of the budget, there's the bottom line there, retained earnings. I had $326,000, 780 left over from the budget to go back and retain earnings. Here's what I want to say. I want to be clear on this. Remember we a while back, I don't know how many years ago, we had an article on the town meeting floor for a stabilization fund. We created a fund, but we've never created a way of funding it. This may be a good start to fund it.
Where is this guy? I'm sorry.
First page.
Oh, retained earnings.
So if you look at my budget,
326,000?
I took in a little bit more than, I could have said, okay, let me just take that 326 and spend it. But I already had my budget, I knew what I wanted, so I had,
Second page.
so if you look, I had $326,781 left. So I took that money and I put it back into budget, and then I also leave a little bit, because I don't know what in-kind services are gonna be. I did 5%, they may go 10, so that I always wanna have a little left over. But my point is we created, at town meeting, a stabilization fund. We created that. We never funded it. And I'm wondering if we should fund it, a percent of our operational budget annually should go into that fund that stabilization. We create that stabilization, and then it gives you more leeway when you go to spend your retained earnings and other monies. You have a stabilization fund set up, and you meet your 20%
You would
requirement.
need an article to put money
That's right,
into it.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if we should do an article to fund it. We made an article to start it, but we never funded it. Anyways, I want to throw that, because we got articles to do, what, a couple weeks?
February 3rd.
Yeah, a couple weeks. So I don't know, if we should talk, I don't know if we have a meeting before then, but we need to talk about articles sooner or later, if we have articles going into the town meeting. I don't know if we have any.
Where's the retained earnings going?
So if you look in your budget, it goes, we have an account called retained earnings.
Okay.
It's back to us, it comes back to us.
Right back to us.
Yeah, instead of me taking it out of the budget, I'm gonna leave it there. Instead of saying, okay, it's 326, why don't I spend that? Let me put it over here. I'll add it to O&M. I'll figure something to do with it. That's easy enough to do. But what I'm saying is, when I did my budget, I went to numbers, played, and said, okay, I can leave this, and I added them up, and that's the number I got.
Okay, but you're saying right now we have no money in the
No, retained earnings, we have plenty
We
of
have-
money.
How did we get money into the retained earnings?
It's easy. So,
No, if the town meeting did not put it in there.
no, the article we got is separate from retained earnings. There's a special account for savings, if you will.
Okay, I'm
For
sorry,
rainy day.
just, wait a minute.
You know, so what I'm saying is that we went to town meeting, I'll break it out to give you the exact, we
Yeah,
went to
we
town
created
meeting.
a retained earnings account,
No, a stabilization. fund.
stabilization account. We have a
Created
stabilization.
one. We just don't fund it.
Is there any money in it?
No, we haven't funded it, no funding in it.
Okay.
So all I'm saying is that when I did the budget, I had this money, when I do my expenses, then I do my income. Oh, I have 326 more. So it's easy to say, well, let me spend it. But I didn't, I left it here. I said, okay, I did the budget, so
Okay,
this
how
was
much is
left
in our
over.
retained earnings account?
I'm not so sure, about 4 or 5 million?
Do we want to have an article transferring some of those funds into a stabilization account?
I don't,
Wait a second. Did you say we have a stabilization fund?
No, we have nothing.
We don't.
We have one, we just haven't funded it.
we have a,
We have a stabilization fund. We have no money in it.
right.
It was established at town meeting that we have it?
Yes.
Then why do we have to go back to town meeting to put money into it?
No, we never put a funding mechanism.
Wait a minute. Why do we have to go to town meeting to do it? We are an
funding mechanism.
enterprise fund.
That's a good question, I can't answer it. Maybe that's a question for Mr. Bowen, but I'm told you need a town meeting article to fund it. You can talk to Mr. Bowen for the legalities of it. That's way above what I know. But I know that we have it, we haven't funded it. So all I was saying is, because what we do is we have to maintain, from our Century Bank, we have $14 million in the bank. I don't know where that $14 million is. I don't know where they disperse it throughout the town, but we have $14 million. So anyways, so I know we have retained earnings part of it, that's probably $4 or $5 million. I know that. So what I'm saying is that we say to ourselves, and it's the state's recommendation, that of your operating and maintenance budget, you maintain 20% of that in a savings account. Well, we're way above that. We're super above that. So what I'm saying is if we created the fund that we created, if we fund it, we keep funding it, we'll be at that number that we need to be for sound financial practices, then all the other money, we've got projects coming out of years, we have more leverage with that money. That's all I'm saying. In other words, if I want to spend this, say I got to keep that in the bank. Well, we really don't have to, especially if we have an account established that meets our 20% requirement for balance, for stabilization fund for that rainy day, and we keep adding to it. And then we can make some solid decisions, all this money over here, what are we really going to do with it? Because we have a lot of liabilities. The force main's going to cost us, the onset force main, I mean, I can go on and on. So how do we fund that stuff? Well, we may have the money to fund it. I tried to talk to John, and again, could we leverage it? And that's illegal for us. I thought we could, go to a bank and say, hey, I got 10 million, lend me 10 million on this, but I guess we can't do any of that stuff. I wanted to leverage our money, and I guess you can't do that in government. But it just sits there. It just sits there. What are we going to do with it? What are we doing with it? But we have to have a stabilization fund.
We spent 5 of it on the lining.
Yeah, and imagine, we spent line and 5 on line, and our bank statement just said we have 14 million in the account, so.
I find that difficult to believe, because that's,
On a copy of it?
no, it's not that, I just find it, I think there's an error someplace, that's all, I just don't
Do you
know.
remember when we,
There's amount of interest happening,
Because,
so that would,
yeah, but we had that much, I think it was a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, and we took 5 out of it, so we can't necessarily be at that same
how
number.
much interest in 14 million?
Yeah, but at what rate?
I can't tell you. I just know I got the bank statement that says we have right today
We're borrowing
$14
at-
million in the bank
We're
account.
borrowing at 2 to 3, I can't believe we're getting a lot more than that for interest, maybe we are,
I don't know. I have a bank statement. That's all I know.
yeah, oversight. It doesn't say that we can arbitrarily,
Mr. Chair, can we, is it possible,
because we can't, because that's not oversight.
is it possible that we get to the commissioners a list of every single account in the accounting department that Judy has that belongs within or associated with a sewer department? What are the names of the accounts and how
What accounts are you
much?
talking about?
Well, do we have a,
Now, what are you talking about?
would
When
go
you
to
say
John.
accounts, we've got accounts for payroll, we've got accounts for chemicals, we've got accounts for sludge.
but that's for general operating, so that
But that's what I'm saying, what accounts are you talking about?
we have a, okay, we have a,
Revenue accounts.
Okay,
revenue
Revenue
accounts.
accounts
yes.
only, all right,
I would,
fine.
yeah,
And that John may have those.
so I
John
would
probably
like
is
to
the
know,
treasurer.
thank you, revenue accounts and how much we have, and if there's any type of stipulation as to what can and cannot be spent from those revenue accounts. Because I know when we talked about the last EDU rate, we said an X percentage of that EDU increase was supposed to go to our capital. When
Which it
asked,
does. We spend $1 million
when
a year.
asked about it, I was told only if you transfer the funds at a town meeting.
That's, I don't know.
So I don't think we've increased our capital based on what we said we would do when we increased our EDU rate. Because I think that came up in a capital planning meeting, and I was told it had to be transferred at town meeting.
Well, it's part of the EDUs. I take the total EDUs.
I know, but we said we
I
would
put-
increase it because we wanted X percent to go to capital.
And so we,
So we
capital
have
now
a
is
capital account, we have oh, never mind.
I
get confused.
increased the capital by $100,000 to account for the monies of the 2%, which is really not a whole lot of money based upon the budget, so it's really not a lot, but I increased it by $100,000. So this year, we're spending $1,100,000 on capital.
But I don't think that was approved at town meeting. I think town meeting only approved
It's a
$1 million.
budgetary item that
It's
he's
a
talking
budget
about.
item. It's my budget.
Budget item, okay.
It's in my
So
budget.
That doesn't have anything to do with town meeting.
So
what he-
EDU budget.
Essentially, what he's doing is he's doing what you wanted done, only he's not
Yes, he's
doing it, running it up and down on a spreadsheet.
Okay,
That's what basically is happening.
so we have 1.1 million in
That's what he's
2020 budget to spend on
21.
capital.
Yeah.
21.
They used, they just
New budget.
increased
Well,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
But none of that will be done up, none of that will be used by C Street. C Street will be a separate article just for that capital expenditure.
It'll come out of retained earnings.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
For that one, it would be.
Yes.
Okay. I think that brings us up to,
Did we vote on the approval of the budget?
yes,
I don't remember voting. I think Donna did the motion, I did the second. I don't remember a vote.
Well, Peter didn't vote, he was busy on something else, and I
Okay.
didn't hear your vote either, Jim.
okay, I'll recall for a vote on the budget. I thought we all,
Yay.
how many yea?
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, 4-0-0.
But I still have those questions.
Okay, Donna, you've got the floor.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I want to be clear, we have no homework.
8:07.
No.